What does it mean to be an American? The nation of America has risen from an abused colony to become one of the greatest and strongest powers in the world. The people of America have progressed from colonists under the rule of Great Britain to revolutionaries fighting against their mothering country, to pioneers exploring every aspect of America itself. Americans have created a name for themselves as one of the greatest countries in the world, its greatness built on the foundations of diverse cultures and revolutionary spirit. At one point or another, every American can trace their ancestry line back to an immigrant, whether it be the year 2016 or the year 1800. These immigrants practice different religions and styles of living from their neighbors. Some are wealthy and live in large cities, while others do not have the luxury of excess money and live in the suburbs. All these differences in backgrounds and cultures shown do not change the American spirit instilled in each and every person residing in this country. So what does it truly mean to be an American? Does it mean harvesting the revolutionary spirit that our founding fathers used to fight for what they believed in the Revolutionary War? Does it mean pouring your heart and soul into the foundation written by the Constitution that everyone is equal under law? Does it mean you believe in justice and a fair chance for everyone? Does it mean you are willing to fight for those less fortunate and build up those who are struggling? Or does it mean you have the heart to persevere in any situation? Well, being American entails all of these qualities. You need a generous and charitable heart that contains a revolutionary spirit. You are willing to fight for the justice and equality of others and for yourself. Being American means having passion and the want to help others. It means to grow and learn as a person in order to better help your country. And finally, it means showing courage and bravery to stand up to those who do not have your best interests in mind. Throughout history, the one quality that all American historical figures have no lack of is perseverance. Once they set their minds to a certain plan, they do not stray from their values and persist until they achieve their goal. Thomas Paine was an American philosopher, political theorist, political activist, and revolutionary that was aware of the evils the colonists faced from Great Britain. He holds a claim to the title "the Father of the American Revolution" and was a major contributor in uniting the colonists against Great Britain. After the colonists revolted against taxation at the battles of Lexington and Concord, Paine strongly believed that America should not simply revolt against taxation, but demand independence from Great Britain entirely. In order to spread his ideas about a revolution, Paine wrote one of his most famous works, Common Sense. This writing expressed his views throughout all 50 pages of the pamphlet and forced people to decide whether they wanted to become independent or continue their lives under the tyranny rule of Great Britain. Once his writings caused a great deal of debate, those people who were displeased and afraid of the rulings of Great Britain now had an answer to their problems: independence. His pamphlets were used to recruit for the Continental Army and to persuade people to join the Revolution. His writings helped the colonists persevere from the opposition of Great Britain. Paine continued his writings by writing the Crisis Papers, when it became clear that Americans wanted independence. Although Paine was not a natural soldier, his writings of the Crisis Papers contributed to the patriot cause by inspiring them to continue to fight. When men's souls are tried, they must continue to push to the greater good of the country. Paine's strong belief that America should be an independent nation allowed him to persist in writing controversial articles. His beliefs turned into the beliefs of America. His writings fueled the flame of the revolutionary fire and allowed the American colonies to gain independence from their leaders. Without his perseverance in writing these articles, in fighting against the rule of Great Britain, America would not have had the fuel of fire to the flame of the Revolution. The American spirit of perseverance can be traced throughout the history of America. When people in America have a chance to fight for something they believe in, there is no stopping them. Harriet Beecher Stowe was a very passionate abolitionist. Stowe grew up in a free and very religious white family. She was very motivated by her Christian morals and the distinction between what was wrong and what was right. When Harriet moved to Cincinnati at the age of 21, she became witness to the Cincinnati riots of 1829, in which the Irish attacked African Americans in an effort to eliminate the threat of African American competition. Beecher met a number of African Americans who had suffered in those attacks and used their experiences to contribute to her book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. She also used stories told to her by runaway slaves when she harbored them in the Underground Railroad. When writing Uncle Tom's Cabin, which started out as articles written in a newspaper, her goal was to educate the North on the realistic horrors of the things that were happening in the South and to try and make people in the South feel empathetic to the people they were forcing into slavery. She wrote this book right after the fugitive slave laws were enacted, tearing families apart and seizing African Americans without mercy. She had received a letter from the wife of her brother before she started writing, saying that one of her good friends had been murdered for publishing papers containing articles against slavery. She went forth and wrote her book anyways and helped to contribute to the debate about abolition and slavery and aroused opposition in the South. Though she faced many challenges, Harriet Beecher Stowe persisted to help the abolitionist cause in the hopes of starting a new future for the lives of African Americans. Knowing that she had the power to help make the lives of slaves better, she did not hesitate to write her story even though her life may be threatened. The sense of danger that comes along with doing the right thing was a small price to pay for Harriet Stowe. She continued to help those in need despite the danger she faced. The long, hard fight to abolish slavery continued the legacy of President Abraham Lincoln, who did everything in his power to keep America unified. Lincoln believed it was his job as President of the United States of America to do everything in his power to keep the North and South unified. When Fort Sumter was attacked by the South, he declared that the South had declared a war upon the Union. Lincoln believed that if he allowed the South to secede, the Union would be ruined, and it was his duty as President to keep America unified. During the American Civil War, it became evident that the war would not be as simple and quick as most Northerners had predicted, and most were ready to give up and allow the Southern states to secede. When the Union was starting to falter in the effort to keep the North and South unified, Lincoln needed to give the North a better reason to continue fighting the war. After so much bloodshed, Lincoln wanted the war to end quickly, with the North being victorious. He decided to announce all slaves free under the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation declared all slaves within rebellious states free under the law. When Lincoln declared the slaves in rebellious states free, it became the duty of the Union to protect the rights of those people being denied their liberties. The Union is now not only fighting for the preservation of the Union, but the freedom of all slaves being held captive against the law. When it seemed that the war effort was weakening, Lincoln gave the North a reason to continue fighting. Through all the challenges faced in trying to keep America unified, including a full-scale war, he persisted and succeeded in his duty as president in keeping the Union together. Finally, the American leader who persisted against ridicule in making America a great nation was President Theodore Roosevelt. When Roosevelt was elected into office, he believed he had a duty to make America a strong, charitable, and heroic nation. Roosevelt used his presidential power to help the working and middle classes. When it became clear that monopolies were running the United States economy and harming those people of the working class, Roosevelt busted corrupt monopolies and invented the Square Deal. The Square Deal was a program instituted in America that had the goal of embracing reform in the American workplace, government regulation of industry, and consumer protection. It can also be credited to President Roosevelt for making America one of the great world powers it is today. Under his leadership, the United States was able to build the Panama Canal, which is an extraordinary engineering feat that helped transportation between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Roosevelt faced resistance from the leaders of Colombia, who would not allow Americans to build the canal. When the people of Panama revolted against their Colombian rulers, America gladly supported them and acquired the rights to build the Panama Canal in the Treaty of Paris. After the Spanish-American War, when Roosevelt went to war with Spain, America acquired the lands of Cuba, Philippines, Costa Rica, and Guam. With some military force, Roosevelt was able to turn a majority of these lands into stable societies. Roosevelt educated these nations, helped create a stable government, and spread American influence across the world. President Theodore Roosevelt was ridiculed during his efforts at making America a great nation as being an imperialist. Roosevelt persisted in doing anything to make the country of America a great nation. When America went to war with Spain, it only showed the rest of the world how powerful the nation had become. Roosevelt used his challenges he faced as president to contribute to the great image of America, and nothing was going to tarnish that. So what does it mean to be an American? As all the American leaders aforementioned have exhibited, it is the will to persevere, the will to contribute to a morally just cause, and to fight for what you believe in. Being an American is more than just being born in the country. It is being able to show the qualities of a leader and help lead others through difficult challenges. Americans have learned from their very beginning, upon arriving in a new world, to never give up. The thought of giving up was abolished the moment Columbus founded this great nation. American perseverance has proven to be the key to the survival and success of this country.